So the next unit we're going to review is Unit 7 on variation. So the first type of variation is direct variation. I am going to go off to the side and talk about a type of problem that's on one of your worksheets. So on your worksheet it talks about how to write equations. So like if it says y varies directly with b and inversely with the square of b or square of c, it would require you to write an equation. So the first variable it mentions is what it equals. So y equals, it says it varies directly, so you have a k, and then varies directly means times the b, and that says and inversely, so you would divide it by the square of c, so c squared. That's the kind of answer I'm looking for. So if we're looking at the first example, it says your weight on Mars, so I'm going to make up a variable like m for Mars. It says it varies directly, so k times and the weight on Earth, so I'm going to use e for Earth. So then it says a person weighing 125 pounds on Earth, so 125 is going in for Earth, weighs 47.25 on Mars, so I'm going to put in 47.25 for Mars. And now I need to use that information to find the k. So I divide by 125. So k would equal 0.378. Then it says if you weigh 155 pounds on Earth. So go back to the original equation. It wants to know how much you weigh on Mars. So I'm looking for m. My k is 0.378 and the Earth weight is 155. So I plug that right in my calculator and I get 58.59. The second one is joint, y equals kx,z, so it's just like direct variation. Y varies jointly with x and z squares, so y equals k times x times z squared. So this is when y is 80, so I plug in 80 for y, x is 4, and z is 2. I have to remember to square it, and I have to find k first. So I do 4 times 2 squared, that's 16, so I divide over 16. So that means k equals 5. So then it says find y, so y equals, my k is 5, it says x is 6, and z is 4. You have to remember to square that 4. That is a huge mistake that lots of people make, so if you need to highlight it or star it, then you should do so. So then I plug that right in my calculator and I get 480. The last variation is inverse, y equals k divided by x. So it takes 4 people 10 hours to resurface a stretch of road. So that is inverse because the more people you have to resurface a stretch of road, the less time it will take. That's inverse. So I have people equals k divided by time. So I'm going to plug in 4 people and k divided by 10 hours for time. So I would times by 10, so k is going to equal 40. Then it says how long, that's a time, would it take 8 people? So 8 goes in for people, my k is 40, and then time I don't know. So how I would go about solving this is I would put the 8 over 1 and then cross multiply. So 40 times 1 is 40, and then 8 times t is 8t. Then I would divide by 8. So t equals 5. The next topic in this unit is sequences and series. So arithmetic formulas. These formulas are all given to you, but you need to know when to use what. Arithmetic formulas are when it's an adding pattern. And then geometric is when it's a multiplying pattern. So the first formula that will be on your formula sheet is to find terms. And so it's not going to have this, and you need to know that to find terms, this is the formula you use. To find terms in geometric, you need to know to use this formula. So to review what each of these symbols mean, I'm going to tell you what they are, but if you do not know what they are, you need to write it on your own paper. So A1 stands for the first term. So if you don't know what that stands for, you need to write yourself a note right now that A1 equals the first term. N stands for the number of term you're looking for. So if you don't know what that means, you need to write yourself a note. Finally, D stands for how much is added each time. If you're not sure how to find that, what you do is you take the second term and you subtract the first term. For the geometric, A1, same thing, first term. R is what's multiplied. If you're not sure how to find R, it's the second term divided by the first term. And then N is again the same thing, the number of term you're trying to find. So the other formulas to find a sum, or they may use the word series, you use the S formula. So N divided by 2, same. N is the number of term. 2A1, first term, plus the number of term minus 1, and then the difference. There is going to be that other formula where it's N divided by 2A1 plus AN, but that is the formula I suggest you do not use. For geometric, to find the sum or the series, here's the formula you use. A1, first term, 1 minus the ratio to the nth power, and in parentheses, they're not going to have it in parentheses on your formula sheet, but you need to remember to include that in your calculator, is 1 minus r. The last formula you need to know is infinite series. So if it says the word infinite in your directions, then you're going to use the S with the infinity sign, and it's the first term over in parentheses 1 minus the ratio. Going on to the example problems, the first one says, given the sequence 10, 6, 2, negative 2, find the following. The first mission is to figure out if it is arithmetic or geometric. So in this case, I am subtracting by 4, so adding negative 4 each time. That means it's an arithmetic pattern. So that means I'm going to be using the things in the first box. So the first question asks for find A17. So find the 17th term, which means I'm going to be using the AN formula. So A17 equals the first term, which is 10, plus the number of term, I'm trying to find 17, minus 1, and then the difference, I do 6 minus 10, and I get negative 4. You need to make sure you put negative, not minus 4. I plug that right into my calculator, and I get negative 54. Number 2 asks now S17, so the sum or series of the 17th term. So I plug it in to the S formula. So I do N, again, 17 over 2, to the first term, plus N again, and the difference again is negative 4, not minus 4. Plug it right in my calculator, and I get negative 374. Last question is the summation. So whenever you see that E, I would suggest you just use your calculator. So how you do that is you hit Math 0. So I go to my calculator, I hit Math 0, I plug it in exactly how it's written. So X, and then 2, 9, and I go over and type it on in. and then just hit enter, and I get 140 as my answer. Alright, now you can do the Socrative quiz.